Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Welcome to Richard Listens. Welcome to Richard Listens on Sports.
They just
there
won't
you
stop
go.
Clapping today, Peter.
We got some sound. I'm your host, Peter Sobey. And alongside me, without further ado, the Doctor Extraordinaire, Dr. Richard Oberger.
Thank you. That's my cue.
Yes, that was your cue, Dr. Richard.
Busy week in life and sports.
Yeah, so it's been like a really busy week and an enlightening week. It's a new, fresh year. We're excited. Thank you for joining us here at UBN Radio TV. And if you are watching us live on our Facebook feed at facebook.com RichardListens, don't forget to leave a comment or a question, and we will hopefully get to it live on air. I can't see everyone that checks in, but if you check in, I'll try and mention you. I see an old high school friend of mine, Carrie Burns, has joined watching the show. Hi, Carrie Burns. Good to see you here. So,
You're muted.
yes, we had a little sound thing there, and I'm sure our guest is like, man, this is a real professionally run show here. So before we get into, because our guest is like a TV celebrity.
He eats people like us for breakfast.
Yeah, definitely. So he's done his share of TV, and, we unfortunately didn't have a good hair makeup person for him here today, but he's a handsome and dashing man. You've seen it in the promos, but we are not going to introduce him quite yet. We are also waiting in the wings. We have our fitness wellness tip from our fitness wellness guru, Patricia Weiler, coming up. But I want to do first, though, is share a trailer with you for our guest. It's going to give away who he is, but he's got a show that debuted on Thursday last week, and we'll give you more details in the UK. So Jarvis, can you bring up that link in that video? We're going to show you. It's about a 3-minute trailer. I really like this one because it really explains a lot about the show and who he is. And let me know when you're ready to roll, Jarvis. Here we go. Let's trailer.
My job is to make young people's dreams come true, make them into supermodels. That's right.
One of the most beautiful young people I've ever seen in my entire life.
Do you think you're beautiful?
Nope.
You're wrong. I want to meet that girl right now.
Oh!
You're cool looking.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Right there, right there.
There's girls everywhere. Girls.
It is rammed with model potential.
I gotta go find the United Kingdom's next supermodel.
The hotel receptionist.
Whoa. Check out those rowers. Great looking guys, male models. Come on back. I will make you famous. Jen, how old, how tall? You're gonna walk down the runway for Jean-Paul Gaultier, Prada and Gucci.
I love your vibe. I love your
the
face.
vibe.
You're beautiful.
Holy moly. What I want, funny faces.
Mean it.
In the picture, she looks amazing.
I gotta put girls in front of Donatella Versace, in front of Mrs. Prada. If I fail, it's my reputation on the line. I don't see her as a supermodel. I see her as a working model.
I'll get on the table and fight you now.
She's out.
No.
I'm telling you right now, she's a freaking star. This one is a killer, a freaking killer.
What we have to do is take all this off and bring out the beauty, because it's there.
Sometimes young people, they walk out of here, they're bawling their eyes out. cut their hair, make it blue.
I'm quite shocked.
Don't be frightened.
I'm very frightened.
Such beautiful skin.
Hotel front desk girl.
Not anymore.
So we've wanted to create a really grungy look.
When she walked in, she did not look like that.
Nothing I can do now.
This is high fashion. This is Prada, this is Gucci. Mom,
She's gorgeous.
take a look at Matilda.
You look amazing.
Look at your cheekbones. Oh my goodness.
Hey, okay.
What the?
I love it, yeah.
You gotta be kidding me. Remember this freaking moment. You are watching the creation of one of the world's greatest models. That's what you're watching right now, everybody.
All right. Holy cannoli.
I'm
okay,
inspired.
Dr. Richard. I'm a guy, and I'm into sports, but I want to watch this freaking show. It looks great.
Of course it does. It's got Paul Fisher starring.
Right. And not only because we know Paul, but even if I didn't know Paul, I'd be like, I want to watch this freaking show. So without further ado, our guest in the studio today is the supermodel maker extraordinaire, Mr. Paul Fisher. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Peter, Dr. Richard.
Welcome.
It's very good to be here, guys.
So what are you feeling watching that trailer? I mean, you're fired up. That just see I'm inspired watching that.
Well, it's very hard for me to watch me. So not that it's embarrassing, but it's like, my mom came to London with me, Dr. Richard, to do the show in London, and she was standing behind the director, and she kept saying to the director, Paul, put your freaking arm down, because I do this thing with my arm. So to watch myself on camera, to hear my voice, and to watch the shit that I do, it's kind of weird. So it's very, very difficult to watch me.
So even at this level, we got the show just aired last night or 2 days ago.
Well, that's my London show. I'm on my third season in Holland. That's the UK version of it. So it's a whole new series that I shot for Lifetime and A&E that just aired Thursday night. Yeah.
And Paul, your mom just wrote into Facebook, "Put your arm down, Paul."
I actually called my mom before the show. I said, "Mom, check it out on Facebook." She goes, "I've seen enough of you, Paul."
So we do have so many questions, and we want to hear a lot about the show. We also want to hear a couple of your great sports stories. But before we get to all of that goodness, we have our fitness wellness expert waiting in the sideline to give us a great fitness wellness tip this week.
Great.
Let's give a warm welcome to Patricia Weiler.
Hey, Caitlin.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So, Caitlin, ironies of all ironies, we mentioned this on Facebook, but 2 weeks ago, your tip was about, earthquake and hurricane preparedness. Yeah. And you are in Mexico City. And ironies of all ironies, not 7 days later, you experienced a 7.1 earthquake.
Right. So 2 in 1 week was a lot to handle. So I thought that it would be great to talk about just, we have so many, again, there's still so many things happening, natural disasters and things. And, I just kind of been doing a lot of thinking and, of myself, of kind of being out of that kind of scared moment or that I experienced with that second earthquake. Really, it was, I think, one of the scariest moments of my life. And, I think that a lot of us sometimes forget, that we're human and you know, that these things can be traumatic and that, you know, you kind of need time to heal, or, you know, different situations that cause trauma to us. And, you know, I think it's just, you know, even relating it back to, you know, your guest, Paul Fisher here and the modeling world, that, you know, maybe it's better off to kind of come off more genuine. And, you know, I had one really great friend of mine. He's a life coach, and he did a post the other day, which just kind of said, you need to be brave and willing enough to ask for help. So, you know, I guess kind of that streamlines my tip for this week, that, you know, in any major tragedy or situation like that, you can't always think that you can fix or take care of yourself. You know, just like myself, many of my friends, you know, aren't sleeping because, you know, you're worried about an aftershock or one of the next things happening. Same with all the floods that are going on, the hurricanes, all these things. And I'm sure you guys can agree, because there's earthquakes in California. So, you know, you kind of just have to, you know, sometimes time is the best healer, but you have to ask for help when you need help too, right?
I just want to thank you, Caitlin, for bringing that genuineness to the show and being willing to be exactly present with where you're at and not have to put a fluffy tip up there that is not in line with what you feel. Just like Paul immediately, you know, owned something about himself as a performer, and this constant, you know, evaluation of, you know, how you know, am I good enough? Is this what people want to hear? Is this what they want to see? And we try and embody here people being living examples and models for being human and being vulnerable. So as much as, you know, Peter pumps us up, and you are an expert in many elements, and we salute all that you do for the world and the spokeswoman that you are, I think it's amazing that you're saying, hey, at this moment, who I am is human, and right, we don't know what's coming next. We don't know if there's another aftershock. We don't know what tomorrow is. So today I need to be present, and I need to know what my needs are, and I need to know where I can get my resources from.
Right, and I think it's okay. You know, me and you have talked before, and I think, you know, it's okay that you need to take a break, or you need to take time for yourself, or you need to, you know, whatever it is you need to do. But when you kind of notice your patterns, you know, coming back to the fitness wellness of you're not sleeping, you're not eating, your normal day-to-day regimen is completely changed up because, you know, of your experience, then, you know, you need to, like I said, either ask for help, have good support system around you, and do your best to kind of heal and let the time kind of carry you and direct you to the right place. Because if you're not healthy and well, you can't help anyone else. And so kind of that's my philosophy, you know, make sure you can take care of yourself so that you can better take care of others.
Yeah. That's a great tip, Caitlin. Thank you so much for that. And before we say goodbye to you, we will, ironies of all ironies, here you are, a spokeswoman, a model, and we have a modeling agent on the show. So pleased to introduce Caitlin and Paul together.
Yes, hi, Paul. And too, I hate watching myself too. I have the same feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch myself.
But I'm looking at you, and you look beautiful. So you're very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your show.
And by the way, great tip. Really cool.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Take care. All right. Another great fitness wellness tip from Caitlin.
Yeah, I'm just like jumping out of my skin. I mean, we're just constantly, right, we're looking at models. You're seeing people that you have to put in front of. I don't even know half the people that you meet in the modeling world. I won't pretend to. I heard Prada up there, Gucci. But, right, I mean, when you're looking at people and you hear this level of like, well, here's someone who recognizes humanity, right? I personally, as a psychologist, I get really concerned when I hear, you know, all the concerning things that people do to make themselves a model or other than healthy, right? So to hear someone in line with those values, I mean, what's that like for you when you're screening applicants?
Well, that's a great question because, you know, I always go into it, number one, is I'm not a big fan of the modeling industry. I actually think the modeling industry sucks. I think it's gross. I think it's actually very damaging on a young person.
Wow.
I think anytime you ask a young person to sit underneath a microscope 5 times a day, 25 times a week, 100 times a month, 1,200 times a year, and you're having their physical features judged, that's a very difficult thing for, you know, anybody to deal with. You know, I'm obviously an older man, and I'm judged, you know, by the way I perform or the way I look, and that's a bitch for me to deal with it. But I don't get it get judged just about my physical trip 5 times a day, 25 times a week, 100 times a month, 1,200 times a year. So the first thing is when I meet somebody, I always tell them, run. Run as fast as you can away from a guy like me, even though I can make a lot of money off you. It would be my suggestion never to model, never to even think about modeling. I think it's one of the most damaging, worst things any young person could ever do with their lives. Because once again, as you and I both know, Doc, when you put 99% of your focus and your energy just on your physical trip, you can't win. It's an impossibility. Sooner or later, you're going to lose.
So that's really honest and straightforward, right? I see all the flaws, but you still walk into the matrix anyway, right? You see all the flaws, you see all the problem, but you're still going in and you're finding those people. So you must believe on some level that you can help elucidate those other qualities or show them a different side of the industry.
Well, I don't see flaws. What people call flaws, I find sexy.
I mean flaws in the industry, not
not
physical flaws.
Well,
we'll get to the sexy flaws later. There, Paul.
Yeah, I mean a gap in the teeth.
Yeah.
Usually what a girl or a woman thinks is something that she hates about herself, to me is probably the most coolest, sexiest thing about her. But yeah, it's a very.
But that's a great point right there. I'm sorry to cut you off, but when you notice that in someone, and they might be holding that belief about themselves. I'm not sexy, I'm not beautiful, and you're kind of putting this attention on them.
Yeah.
Right. How do you?
Yeah. Check this out. I did this scene the other day in the United Kingdom. I walked into a mall, and I saw this girl with pink hair, and I said to my assistant, I said, let's go do a magic trick. So I walked up to the girl and I said to the girl, you want to see a magic trick? And she didn't know who the hell I was. She just saw a bunch of cameras behind me and shit. And I said, she was sure, I'll see a magic trick. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the one thing that you hate about yourself. And I'll tell my assistant, I'll whisper it in her ear and she'll write it down on a piece of paper. Have you ever met me before? No. Well, then how the hell am I going to know what's the thing that you hate about yourself? She goes, yeah, it's impossible. And I said, really? So I said to my little assistant, Sophie, which is actually, God, I hope they put it in the freaking show. I said to my assistant, she hates the bump on her nose. And my assistant wrote down, bump on her nose. So I say to the kid, I said, let me ask you a question. What do you hate about yourself? She goes, I hate the freaking bump on my nose.
Wow.
I said, look at the piece of paper. Why? Because, we all look in the mirror and see things that no one else sees. And what we think is something that, could be a weakness of ours or something that trips us out. In reality, that's just our freaking mind playing tricks on us. That bump on her nose actually could make that kid famous. It actually could make that kid, someday some man's going to fall madly in love with her, and probably one of the things he's going to fall in love with is the bump on her freaking nose. So it's our minds play different tricks. But when you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids who now are going to put their emphasis and their life and their meaning of their freaking life into their bump on their nose or their gap in their teeth or their, or they weigh 132 pounds when some asshole tells them they got to weigh 116 pounds.
Yeah.
And so, and you ask me, I'm involved in a business that I'm trying to fix. I'm trying to change. So that's why I'm in the modeling industry. I'm not, I've created more stars than anybody on the planet. So it's not like I got to create another star, Doc. I want to create young people to become role models to give back to the world. I want to sit in front of a Valentino or Versace fashion show, which is on my bucket list. I go to the shows all the time and sit there at the shows, but I want to sit front row at a show and see a beautiful, sexy, beautiful woman walk down the runway that's a reflection and reflective of our community, of our society, not a, when I was representing Naomi Campbell and Stephanie Seymour and Carrie Ellis, all the big stars, they weighed 128 pounds, 5'10". We're losing 8% per year. Kids now weigh 115 pounds, they're 5'11". They call them hangers. So our business is actually destroying the youth of today. And I'm a hypocrite because my girls are some of the most famous kids in the world that weigh 115 pounds. So I'm the ultimate freaking hypocrite. I look right in my face, and I am, but I need 10 big, huge stars, huge ones, so I can control the industry, so then I can change the industry. I've only got like 4 now of the biggest stars in the world. So I'm doing it for very, very specific reasons, but I'm a freaking hypocrite, that's for sure.
So what do you think about, I don't know if you follow it, I haven't watched it, but the new season of Project Runway had like all different shapes and sizes of models.
Oh, that's cool.
Was that a positive step,
yeah,
you think?
Yeah. Anytime, Project Runway, Next Top Model, those shows that kind of gain a lot of attention, it's important that they have a social responsibility, you know, to reflect what's happening in the world. So, you know, when kids watch those type of TV shows, not so much Project Runway, but the other shows, modeling shows, they know they can't look like that.
Right.
And it pisses them off. And then they stick their finger down their throat.
Right, and it's a slippery slope.
It's a freaking slippery slope. So in my show, God willing, you know, I own my show, but I don't produce it. You know, and I always beg the producers to, you know, reflect what I'm trying to communicate. And the kind of kids that I look for on my show, they aren't like blonde-haired, blue-eyed, not real breasts. They're just interesting. Not that blonde-haired, blue eyes is beautiful, but they're just interesting-looking, special, different young kids who actually 99% of them don't think they're beautiful.
Yeah, we kind of just saw that on the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
It was really amazing to see a lot of the young women that you were pointing out.
Yeah, because first of all, it doesn't matter what I think is beautiful. First of all, that'd be my freaking ego saying, oh, if Paul Fisher thinks a girl's beautiful, I can make her famous. That's all bullshit. That's my freaking ego. That's all wrong. Really, my job is to try to figure out what famous designers, famous photographers think is beautiful. So my job is to kind of get into straight people, gay people, transgender people, you know, who are the people that make the decisions in my industry. Donatella Versace, Mrs. Prada, Pier Giorgio Del Moro, Stephen Meisel, Patrick Demarchelier, Peter Lindbergh. You know, my job is to try to figure out at any given time what turns them on. And what turns on these artists are different, interesting-looking kids. So I kind of look for girls that I think these famous people that are friends of mine are going to resonate with. And these guys, yeah, they like beautiful young people, but they like something that pops, that stands out, that looks different. And I myself personally, I like a kid that I can build confidence in, a kid that doesn't really believe she's cool or beautiful. And my job is to make her believe that she's perfect, whatever her weight is and whatever her size is and whatever her ears look like and whatever her nose looks like. My job is to make her believe with every fiber of her being that she's actually perfect.
So what's that experience like for you? Because you gave the attention, you've had, you know, all this history in the business, all the things that you're trying to move away from. But what I saw in that clip there of the show, when you get alone with that girl you can like read her brain going, I'm not a model. I'm not good looking.
Yeah.
And what's that like for you? Where you're just like, that's the program that you're reading in front of you, and you have this opportunity, you know, to show them a different aspect of themselves.
Well, I think in the back of their mind, they've always, not always, but maybe in the back of their mind, they've had this thing where, would it be cool to be a model? None of them ever thought maybe they had the potential to be a model because they don't think they look like models. So yeah, step one is they're thinking, I'm not good looking. What is this guy talking about? I got a gap in my teeth. I got flappy ears. Like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But then I go to my classic line, which I just say to them, Google me. And then once they Google me, then they know that I'm, you know, one of the most powerful modeling agents in the world. And they know that I'm very serious and I'm very blunt and I'm very, very straight out. And then it's my job over a little bit of time to make them realize that, that they're really, really special. Really special. And not just for modeling, but for anything that they want to do with their lives. But the modeling is kind of like the needle pin that kind of pricks it, just to kind of open up it, so then they realize that they're pretty freaking perfect no matter what they look like.
And now, speaking of transformations in your show, we'll bring it up again at the end of the show, but tell the audience, what's the show? Like, we showed the trailer.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, my show is called I Can Make You a Supermodel. And I do the show, in different international markets around the world. Very humbled to be able to do this show. Very humbled that, the audience is liking me and liking the show. This show's become kind of a big hit in Europe, which is pretty humbling. I'm sure I'll do the show here soon in America one day. But basically what the show is, every episode, me and my team go out and we find 10 girls. And we find these 10 girls in different places. They could be in rehab centers. They could be in homeless shelters. They could be in malls. They could be anywhere. I look for kids anywhere. And the kids are usually 15 to 18 years old. And I find these 10 girls each episode, and then I transform them. Well, no. First, I take the 10 girls and I narrow it down to 5. And then I take out of the 5 girls, then I funk these 5 girls up. I shave their heads, I color their hair. But I don't do it for you. I don't do it for the audience. I don't really give a shit what you or the audience thinks, to be perfectly honest with you. I do it because the only way usually it takes me like 2 or 3 years to launch a girl. I got to do it in like 8 weeks because it's a television show. So I got to expedite the process very quickly. So I take these 10 kids, I narrow it down to 5, and then I funk these 5 kids up by making them look like no other girl in the freaking world. And then I take these 5 girls and I start submitting them to the biggest clients in the world, the biggest designers in the world, and then I freaking pray. I pray that, Donatella or Mrs. Prada or Pier Giorgio Del Moro, one of the biggest designers in the world, I freaking pray that they book one of my girls, that they like one of my girls. And then if they use one of my girls, people think I'm a freaking genius.
And actually, Jarvis, do you have the photo that there's like kind of like some of your big success stories from the show? I don't know if you could see on the screen there. You sent me this photo of Julie and...
Oh, Julie and Marjan. Yeah, Julie and Marjan, those are two of the biggest stars in the modeling industry today, Julie Humans and Marjan Jonkman. And Julie, Julie, I found riding her bike down the street. Marjan was, in like a bakery or something like that. She was a baker in her little small town.
Wow. And
now these two kids are, two of the most important models in the world today, working for Valentino, Versace, Calvin, literally on a daily basis. I oversee their careers. I control their careers. I manage their careers. But I can assure you, when I first met Marjan, who's one of the biggest stars in the world, she didn't think she's beautiful. She did not think she's like a beautiful girl. Now Marjan walks into a room and she's the shit. She's the bomb not because of me, but because, she's now, is getting all that attention. She's on the covers of magazines, and she now realizes that she's got something very special. But I must say, really what my job is now to do with Marjan is to teach her how to give back, to the world, teach her that this is a blessing from God, and if she doesn't treat it like a blessing from God, the universe is going to rip it away from her, and it's going to take it away from her so very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's a key point, because, right, we say, well, why Richard listens on sports, right, but we're bringing in, a top performer here, and you're really training people how to get into performance psychology, right? Where's their confidence coming from? And then how do you maintain it, right? So you get all this attention and fame. Right, this is a key thing that you're trying to bring, sounds like, into the modeling agency, right? How do you maintain this level of being a performer and getting the rewards and results, and how do you make it last so that it has an impact?
So I did this study, and the study was, and I teach this to all my kids around the world, the study was entertainment people that stayed in the game for long periods of time. Not entertainment people that stayed in the game for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, the people who hit and run. People who stayed in the game for 20, 30, 40 years, they all had one common denominator. If you look at Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, if you look at Paul Newman, Robert Redford, if you look at Sean Penn, Matt Damon, you look at people who are staying in the game for long, long periods of time, what do you think their one common denominator is? They're better looking than people? No.
Charitable causes.
That's exactly it. They give back more than anybody else. There's a very simple concept in the modeling industry, in the world of entertainment. How do you want to stay in the game? How do you want to stay in the game? Give back painfully until it hurts. You take a glass of water and you pour the water into the glass and the water overflows, right? Keep pouring, the water overflows, right? Cut a hole in the bottom of the glass and then the water keeps going because the blessings keep coming. I explain to my kids all the time, you want to stay on top of the modeling industry? Go feed the fucking homeless. I swear to God. Go feed the homeless. You want to stay on top of anything having to do with the entertainment industry? Go figure out a way to give back to the world. Like, give back painfully. Like when my kids do the face of Yves Saint Laurent, or the face of Versace or Versus or Calvin Klein, if they don't go feed the homeless, then they have a problem with me. Why? Because I'm a selfish pig. Because I know if that girl goes to feed this homeless, I know if that girl goes and does something great for humanity and great for her community and gives back to the world, I know that there's more covers coming. I know there's more fashion shows coming. I know there's more millions of dollars coming. I'm a selfish animal. The more that kid gives back, the more money I'm going to make. The more money that I can give back to the world, the more stars that I can potentially create. So how do you stay on top of the world of the modeling industry? It has nothing to do with staying in shape. Fuck that. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a very simple spiritual concept. Give back till it's painful. Period.
I mean, that's great advice for anyone. An athlete that wants to stay on top, I mean, obviously you need to train and everything, but for any human being, that advice right there is
and we caught that with some of the pictures we took out at down in San Diego, right? I mean, player comes on the field, throws the ball with a couple little kids,
That's right.
kneels down, says his prayers.
That's right.
He hits a home run that game.
That's
now, the
right.
40,000 people watching, they don't know what he did
That's right.
before the game, where he put his, where he grounds himself, how he keeps himself connected.
Yeah.
Right? But for him, that's
so,
everything.
Yeah, so like I started the conversation where the modeling industry sucks. It's freaking gross. It's the worst thing that any young human being could ever do in their lives.
Right, and who expected that?
But, if you can kill it, then I actually think you have a responsibility to do it, because then we're going to give you a platform to talk from, to speak about very, 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 very important things. Then you have a responsibility to give back to the kids, to become a role model. So on one hand, you should never, ever, ever model. It's the worst freaking thing that any young person could ever do with their lives. On the other hand, if you can kill it, like Marjan and Julie do, and if you could become a role model, and I mean kill it, well, then you have a responsibility, because then you could use this as a platform to talk about really, really, really important things. That's what the modeling industry is all about. The modeling industry is not about pretty pictures and getting to travel around the freaking world and shit like that. Modeling industry is about giving a young person a platform so she can become a role model and help out other young kids around the world, period. And if you're not doing it for those reasons, well, you're going to lose the game. If you want to become a famous model, Richard, because you want to see your face on the covers of magazines, it probably happen. We all read the freaking stupid book, The Secret. You know, if you envision something and you manifest it, you'll manifest the shit, but then it'll be ripped out of your freaking hands. But if you want to become a famous model because you want to be able to give back more to the world, and you want to help more and become a role model, then you'll actually pull it off, and your career will last. If you want to do it for selfish reasons, I want to be on a billboard, I want to get, make love to a rock star one day, yeah, it'll probably happen. You'll get a disease. Straight up.
And I mean, that's great life lessons for everybody. I love it, Paul.
And I love that you deliver this straight, and you deliver this to people who are coming to you. You don't mince words.
I want them to run from me. I care more about them as people than I do as models. I'd rather them be my friend than my client. Because then 20 years from now, they're going to say, shit, he's like the most honest guy I ever met. He told me the freaking truth. I don't need to create more stars.
So here's my question.
Sure.
Mr. Paul Fisher, who did this for you? Who came to you and said, I love these gaps in your teeth, and, you can be who you need to be?
Oh, who came to me?
Great question.
Oh, my mom always thought I was really handsome.
There it is.
No.
But to rise to to get on TV and to motivate people and inspire people.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, that's a really good question. I would say, one of my spiritual teachers. His name is Michael Berg. I was done with the modeling industry. I was actually was I representing the Hiltons at this time? I don't remember. I don't know. But I was going to get away from the world. I was engaged at the time. I got dumped by her, but that's another whole freaking story. And I was going to get out of the world and kind of study this wisdom that I had learned. And Michael said to me, he says, yeah, I think you should go back into the world and kind of use the wisdom that you've learned, and don't be so freaking selfish, Paul. We've taught you this wisdom. Oh, I'm going to fucking cry. We taught you this wisdom, Paul, and you have a responsibility to go back and teach the world and teach. And so I started continuing learning. And then I realized that even though I hated the modeling industry and I hated what it does to young people, I felt I had a responsibility because kids look up to me because I'm like some freaking modeling agent guy. I don't know why they look up to me. So silly. But kids would look up to me, so I just thought to myself, well, Michael's right. I have a responsibility to go back into this world and tell the truth. Tell the truth. Now, did I know that they were going to make TV shows about me? I think Michael did. Maybe Yehuda did, but I didn't know they were going to make TV shows about me. But he said I had to go back in because I was in this field that this wisdom could be very beneficial to other young girls.
So was there a moment when you got that realization of what he was believing in you, when you were like, wow, I can affect some people's lives, and I can make this change?
Yeah, well, first I cried. And if anybody knows me and watch the show, I cry a lot, man. I get pissed off a lot, but I also cry a lot. Yeah, I cried for like 3 months because I swore to myself I would never go back into the modeling industry ever again. I would never enter that world ever again. I thought it was very, very damaging to young people, so I never wanted to do it, Doc. But then after hearing what Michael said to me, and then like 3 months later, I had like this epiphany. And then I just figured if I'm going to do it, and I never like to do anything half-ass, which reminds me of what story at Dodger Stadium that I would like to tell you.
We do want to hear it.
Great lead-in, Paul.
Great.
It all ties back into sports.
Great
back
segue.
into my sports. But I realized that I was given a gift by the Creator, that I see things in people. I see things in girls. I see things. I don't know what it is. I see something special in them, and I have a way of maybe bringing that out of them or making them believe that little thing in them is very special. So I just figured, with the wisdom that I was learning that made so much sense to me, that if these young kids around the world, these young beautiful models that look up to me and everybody looks up to them, if I could kind of communicate these thoughts to them, maybe I could create a role model. And so Michael's concept and the concept that I learned at this place called the Kabbalah Center actually worked. If I actually thought about doing something for others versus for myself, then windows would open and doors would open for me. So I got back into the modeling industry so I could help other young kids around the world. And then 3 months later, they said, "Oh, I want to make TV shows about you." I was like, "Shit, I guess that's cool."
There it goes. What you said worked out for you as well. And you know, Dr. Richard and I don't talk a lot about it, but yeah, just even hearing you talk about the wisdom that you've learned from Kabbalah, really, I know Richard from the Kabbalah Center and Paul from the Kabbalah Center, and we all study that spirituality, but you've really, kind of juiced me up again with that story, Paul.
And Peter, I never bring up that word, the K word, on my TV show. I never bring it up in my interviews, but the bottom line is I learned a wisdom that I feel that applies to every one of the kids that I manage, every one of the kids that
Absolutely.
And I'm not teaching them that word Kabbalah. I'm not teaching them that. I'm teaching them that things that I'm learning from that wisdom that applies to their life in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. And really, we don't want our listeners to get the idea, right? This is like, we only want people to study a certain thing or learn a certain thing, because this could be any spiritual path. But the bottom line is the spiritual teaching and path you were on got you to a place of pain within which you were learning. And that's really hard for a lot of people in their careers and as performers, when they can't do what they used to do easily, or when they start to question what's going on. I mean, we look at the NFL right now. We look at people questioning, right? What does it mean to be in this league, in this country at this time, right? All of a sudden, there's all kinds of things that start to come up that make it like, I'm not sure I love this anymore. And it's amazing to me that you got this, this teacher or somebody you looked up to that said, I believe in you, that you can change it. And that sounds like that's had a real lasting impact.
Well, it was that, and my sister Deborah, who passed away, came down with cancer. That was the real kind of push me over the edge.
And she was a sports agent, right?
Well, no, Elisa, my other sister, Elisa was a sports agent, takes care of Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, and people like that. My sister Elisa worked for Arn Tellem. But my other sister Deborah was a psychologist at Duke University.
That's right.
And when Deborah got sick, really what happened was Deborah got sick, and I was at the Cedars-Sinai Cancer Center, and I was washing her body. I was picking her up and putting her on the toilet at the age of 16 years old. And then these two very, very famous supermodels called me up and said, I am so pissed off with you, Paul, because I'm only making $50,000 today, and there's this other bitch here making $75,000. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? My sister's fighting for her freaking life, and you're complaining about making $50,000 today? You're freaking kidding me. And then I swore to myself, I would never... my life story was bought by Warner Brothers. It's called Creation of Monsters. And I said I would never create another monster ever again. But what I realized through that process, Doc, it wasn't the girls. It wasn't Naomi and Stephanie. It wasn't my famous models that was the monster. It was me. I was the monster.
Wow.
Because I was a terrible role model, because I was a drug addict, because I was an asshole. I was a prick to everybody. I was the monster out of all of them. And so I had to come to the realization. And it doesn't matter, I'm in a specific faith, but there's so many incredible faiths out there. I just realized that there was something else out there for me. And then when I started to learn some interesting stuff, I just wanted to apply it to my business and see if I could actually change people's lives.
I think that's such a gift you just offered. I mean, how many people are that raw and honest? I mean, you didn't say that. That was a healthy criticism, but it wasn't like you were beating yourself up. It was like, these are the things I want to change about myself, and I can change that and still be in the same job and in the same body and the same life, and I can be impacted, and I can experience loss, and I can bring all this into making things better. And that's empowering. I think that's empowering if you're 13 and 15 and you're not happy with your body image, or that's empowering if you're 30, 40, and 50 and not happy in the job you're in and thinking you have to go away or go elsewhere to make change. And sometimes there's just a personal accounting of who you are and how you're living.
Yeah. Well, for me, that's what it was. For me, I had to take I was Paul Fisher, famous modeling agent, representing all these famous girls. And I was watching my sister get weaker and weaker every day. And so, I had to take a very serious look at my life and try to figure out, who am I? What do I want to become? And then how can I use the knowledge that I currently have? And how can I use what I have? Because I'm really good at what I do. But how do I just kind of, like throwing a curveball, how do I just move my fingers just a couple inches over to the left a little bit?
Wow, great metaphor.
And spin it and just change it up a little bit, and not be so freaking selfish. Because before I wanted to become Paul Fisher, famous modeling agent, so girls would like me, And then it became I want to be Paul Fisher because I can help young kids out, really, really help them out, And then all of a sudden, they started making TV shows about me, and all of a sudden my kids became really famous once again. It was like weird. It was like it was weird.
So it's almost going to feel weird to talk about sports now after, really sincerity and some great advice. Jarvis, what are we looking at? Like about 8 minutes? Okay. So I do want to encourage anyone that's out there watching us on Facebook Live at Richard Listens to leave comments and questions, but welcome my old childhood friends, Art Gracia's there, AJ's there, Jewel is with us watching. AJ wrote something really nice. He said, I don't want to let the world change my kids, but I want to do what I can to change the world for my kids. That's a nice little thing there you shared, AJ.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so being a sports show here, and as Dr. Richard pointed out, modeling is performance and everything. And when we wrap up the show, we are going to talk about a couple of great future things you got going on, Paul. But you've got a couple of great sports stories. You kind of casually mentioned right before we went on air that you played at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. Could it be mine?
Yeah. There you go. We just had a buzzing here because there's a big buzz on the Richard Listens on Sports show today because Paul Fisher's in the studio. So it manifested.
And our fans want to hear this Dodger story.
Yes.
I'm going to tell the Dodger story in about 30 seconds, but I want to say one thing, if I may.
Yes.
The correlation between supermodels and athletes. Just a quick 30 seconds. When you're an athlete and you're 22, 23 years old and you're making millions and millions of dollars, now you're a supermodel and you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's a very short-lived career. You don't know who likes you. You don't know who doesn't like you. You don't know who's just hopping on the boat because you got cash. You don't know any. There's a lot of similarities. The age of the kids, how fast they make the money. You try to be 18, 19 years old, making, I don't know, $300,000-$400,000 every couple of months, $20,000-$30,000 a day. Now have some downtime. Have 2 months of downtime. Now you're sitting with $500,000 in your bank account, and you got 2 months, and your friends are out there freaking partying. What do? It's the same thing for those athletes during the summertime. You've been poor all your freaking life. My kids have been poor all their life, and all of a sudden they're sitting on a boatload of cash. Now there's good-looking dudes around, there's drugs around, there's parties around, there's all this shit around. It's freaking Caligula.
This is great. You're like planning my next seminar.
No, but it's freaking
true.
Caligula.
It's true.
So what do? You're 18 years old. You're sitting on $500,000. You're in front of an Italian photographer 2-3 times a week, and this sexy man's going, now just put your finger in your mouth. Now just be sexy. So you're over-sexualized at the age of 18 years old. You got a ton of cash. You got everybody sticking their tongue up your ass telling you how freaking great you are. You got nobody telling you the truth, that everything's a blessing from God and you should just like just be thankful every day and give back to the world. So the correlation and the similarity between the athletes and my kids, and my kids aren't like little kids. My kids are 19, 20, 18 years old.
But are you having that conversation with the parents you meet who ask, well, why you and why should I trust you? And how,
yeah, that's because that's why I'm me, because I tell them the truth. I said, let me tell you what's going to happen with your kid. She's going to make $1 million. She's going to make more money. How much would you make, sir? How much you make a year? You make what, 80 grand a year? I'm going to make your daughter that in a day. Now tell your daughter to do homework. No, go ahead. Go ahead. When she makes more money than you do, sir, in a day, now try to control your daughter. The only person your daughter's going to listen to is me. Me. I'm the one that just made her the 80 grand every day. She ain't going to listen to you anymore, sir. She's going to listen to me. So you either want somebody around your daughter like me, or take her to some modeling agency that's going to party with her and exploit the kid. Or me, and I'm a pit bull. You think you're a tough father? I don't got any kids. Your kid now just became mine. I'm a prick. But with love, I'm going to teach them the right things. Dodger Stadium story. I got 3 minutes.
But that was great.
Okay, so check it out. So I go El Camino High School,
and he's a pit bull, but he's also a fabulous chef.
And I'm a great
chef.
I'm a badass cook.
He makes barbecue chicken with Paul. If you can,
I'm the best.
Wow.
I'm the best cook. So check it out, because I only got like 2.5 minutes. So in my 11th grade year in high school, I get like 50 scholarship offers. I'm the baddest baseball player that you could possibly imagine, the baddest. But in my 12th grade year, because of martial arts and shit like that, I got pins put in my shoulder, both of them, pins in both shoulders. And I had a great 12th grade year. Third base, I played great. But nobody gave me a scholarship. All the colleges said, no way. Not that you got pins in your shoulders. You're a gimp. Never going to happen. So my team plays at Dodger Stadium for the 4A City Championship of baseball for high school. My team is El Camino High School. And guess who I'm playing against? John Elway.
No way.
John Elway goes to Granada Hills High. Now, my coach is a prick. He's the most intense disciplinarian you could ever imagine. You make one. Sorry, Jarvis. We're a bunch of little white boys. We're playing badass. We're like little guys. There's no way we can compete on that level. No way. But because we're so small, and these little Jewish kids, every little move we make has to be perfect, or we'll never win. Every single move. We're playing against sick athletes, strong dudes, tough dudes. If we make one mistake, coach is going to beat our asses. So now it's like the 7th inning. I'm at Dodger Stadium. John Elway, who we all know he signed with the Yankees. He got drafted by the Yankees because he didn't want to play for the Chargers or somebody like that. He ended up because he wanted to play for somebody else. So we know this guy is the shit. John Elway. Yeah. He's pitching against us.
Wow.
So now he's the pitcher, I'm the batter. My coach, who's this disciplinarian, gives me the bunt sign.
Oh.
Now, you know, Doc, you're never going to pick up a baseball bat again. Ever. You're at Dodger Stadium. You're hitting against a guy who's probably going to make the fucking Hall of Fame. He's like one of the greatest athletes that's ever come out of the Valley. So now you're telling me to bunt. I'm at Dodger Stadium. The pitcher's like this freaking... He's like a celebrity, for God's sakes. So my coach gives me the bunt sign. What do you think I do? I swing away. I swing as hard as I can. I miss the ball. The coach, John DePonzio, is like, "You're freaking a maniac." He's like shaking me. Go back into the batter's box. Guess what he does again? Gives me the bunt sign, Peter.
Oh wow!
So I hit I'm laughing. There's no way. I'm at Dodger Stadium. I swing the bat as hard as I can swing it. I fly out to the warning track. But what's the moral of the story?
Yes. What is the moral of the story?
I never bunt. And what's the moral of the story for your fans out there and your listeners out there? Don't bunt. Go for the home run. Any asshole can bunt. Go for the home run. That's what I teach my kids all the time. It's easy to get working for Macy's or Walmart. Go for Vogue. Go for Valentino. That's the concept.
Seize the moment. Too,
seize the moment. Don't bunt. Attack. Win the game. I mean, anybody can be a peasant and come in second or third place, but if you're going to be up at bat, well, take your moment and try to win the game. Win the game. Never bunt. Don't ever bunt. That's the moral of that
Did you guys
sports
get
story.
him? Did you beat John Elway?
No, they won. I lost.
Oh.
But I never bunted ever again in my life.
But it is a great story, and more like anyone can identify with that. You're getting a lot of love out there, Paul. Sean Miller, another old high school friend of mine, says, hey, I like this guy. And Sean's like, old school Ohio from Chicago.
Thanks, Sean. Not that I care, but thank you very much, brother.
And we got Jules saying this guy's legit, and she doesn't even like modeling.
Hey, Jules, I don't like modeling either. It sucks.
Right.
It's gross.
That's how he started.
It's fucking terrible. Don't do it.
And she says, down with bunting. I love that, though. What a great sports analogy. Don't bunt. Go for the home run.
We should do a whole feature.
Now, you wouldn't want to tie that in, Dr. Richard, with talking to youth coaches that coach and say, hey, what to do when your kids don't take the bunting sign.
Yeah, we're going to take the seize the moment and go for the home run portion of that. But,
Hey,
but you know what? But if it's out of fear, if it's out of we can't hit this guy because he's so powerful, then I question you coaches out there if that's where it's coming from.
I just think that sometimes, not sometimes, but always, push the freaking envelope. Just go for it. Win. Like push it. You're only in this physical body, this moment in time, once in this physical lifetime. We believe, and you keep coming back, but you're only here once. So if you're going to be here once, make a statement. Win the game.
And speaking of pushing it and winning, we only have a couple minutes left. You've got some great things on the horizon, Paul. So starting with right now, obviously the show I Can Make You a Supermodel is airing on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So this upcoming Thursday night will be the second episode. And what else do you got coming up?
Well, Wednesday night's my birthday, and I'm having a poker party for charity.
Oh, okay.
The Dr. Richard's coming too.
That's right.
I hope you're coming too.
Right.
So that's a charity poker tournament Wednesday night.
Thank you for hosting.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you very, very much. But
you got a couple books?
Yeah, I've got 2 books coming out this week, maybe next week. One's called Modeling Do's and Don'ts, where it's kind of a really fun book. I give it away for free on my website, and it's just a really cool book of tips of what to do and what not to do for models. Paul Fisher Unplugged, and the site will be open in a few days from now. So that book's coming out, and then I wrote this book called Paul Fisher Unplugged. And in my TV show, sometimes they want to mute me because I get pissed off and I have a lot of shit to say. So in Paul Fisher Unplugged, they can't mute me. I get to talk about all kinds of shit. So I have a book coming out that I think people are going to dig. That's really kind of it took me a few years to write. And then I'm doing a couple more TV shows. You guys ever see Pretty Woman?
Sure. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I'm doing The Real Pretty Woman. I'm going into brothels, strip clubs, porn places, and I'm taking 5 prostitutes off the street.
Wow.
And I'm transforming their lives. And whatever that thing is that they wanted to become before they became a hooker, I'm going to actually make that thing come true for them. So it's called The Real Pretty Woman, and it's literally 5 hookers that I'm going to transform and change their lives completely. And then I'm doing another show with this great company called Bean & Murray. And Bean & Murray does Kardashians and Project Runway. You guys are sports junkies, so NBA draft, NFL draft.
Fantasy drafts, all of it.
You got it, man. I'm doing the Supermodel draft.
That's amazing. I love it.
So 10,000 of the most beautiful girls in the world and the top modeling agencies in the world get to draft the kids one by one by one. The Supermodel draft. Sick. Fun.
And I noticed on your Twitter that, people do send you pictures and stuff like that. So what's your Twitter and Instagram?
Yeah, I think my Twitter is @PaulICMYAS, @PaulICMYAS, which is I Can Make You a Supermodel acronym. So that, and my Instagram, which is @PaulFisherMGT. And yeah, we see, people send pictures all the time to us. I only operate in a very small niche of the modeling industry, which is very, very super high end. But yeah, send me your pictures. I'll tell you what I think, and maybe you could be my next supermodel.
Amazing. Paul Fisher, thank you so much for being our guest on Richard Listens on Sports. Many great things coming up. And Dr. Richard, it's been a really fun show. We're back in 2 weeks live on October 9th. And our guest is Coach Douglas, the what's his nickname? The ball guy? that you and your son met at Angel Stadium.
Oh, the ball hawk, the real Angels guy?
Yeah.
The real Angels guy, yes. Another ball hawk out there, and showing us how to have fun and to make watching Major League Baseball games an adventure and fun for your kids and fun for us as adults.
It will be good fun. So thank you for watching Richard Listens on Sports. We'll see you live in 2 weeks.